Welcome, fellow future professional counselors. Thank you all so much for attending today. I am pleased to have this opportunity to talk with you about a topic that is near and dear to me, the rights adoptees have to know their ancestry. As future professional counselors, we are learning so much about diverse populations. We are discussing the impact of culture and ethnic diversity in our daily life. Presently, I do not know all of you as yet on a personal level. I want you to close your eyes for just a moment. Imagine not knowing anything about your roots. Please realize that I am not saying adopted children do not feel loved or feel a sense of family, but I know from personal experience that when a person is raised differently, inevitably he or she feels different. Although I was not legally adopted, I understand the stigma attached to children who are not raised by their natural parents. When I was younger, it was a much greater stigma than it was today. My mother died when I was young, and I was raised by an aunt and uncle. I was fortunate to have a loving father as well as a supportive family in my life. But I found myself more times than I liked being asked by my peers why I did not live with my sisters. For a 5-year-old, the question caused me immense pain and confusion. For reasons that were a mystery to me growing up, not knowing anyone on my mother's side of the family created a strange void in my life. For these reasons and more, I am a proponent of passing New Jersey Assembly Bill 368, and I hope you will be too. The idea of unwanted or unloved children being synonymous with adopted children has had and continues to have a significant negative impact on the adopted. Specifically, New Jersey legislation regarding sealing adoption records date back to the 1940s. Due to the social mores of the time, it was thought that confidentiality from the prying eyes of the public as well as confidentiality from each other was necessary. Secrecy and denial were the norm, which implied that adoption was shameful. In order to move with the time, several bills have been passed since the 1980s. Surprisingly, the Adoptees Birthright Bill has passed both houses at least twice, and most recently, Governor Christie conditionally vetoed it. He required several changes for the bill to be agreed upon before signing it. While doing research on this topic, I discussed the adoption procedures with family and friends. One of my friends is adopted. He had 3 children. His wife expressed frustration regarding not knowing their medical background when they were little. Another friend is adopted and has had a rich and fulfilled life. He still believes a large part of his life is missing. So in response to Governor Christie's action, Assemblyman David Wolf sponsored a new bill in January 2012. Assembly Bill 368 was born. The crux of this legislation provides adult adopted children and descendants rights to original birth certificate and other related information. It established a mutual consent registry. It also eliminates the requirement for the state registrar to place the original birth certificate and paperwork under seal, hence allowing adoptees over the age of 18, their descendants and others to obtain that information with a written notarized request. I believe this would be a welcome concession on all sides. In essence, this bill not only assists adoptees, but gives birth parents a voice. Currently, records are sealed, and birth parents as well as adoptees are forbidden access. Medical and genetic histories are non-existent. I believe this action is a travesty. There are misconceptions that exist regarding the impact on birth parents and their children by opening adoption records. Researchers who have studied this have found that the fear of birth parents and adopted adults being concerned that their privacy will be invaded is mostly unfounded. In states where similar legislation has passed, those cases are minimal. Of course, there are opponents to this legislation. There is a false assumption that relinquishment and adoption are the same. The fact remains that many children who are given up for adoption are not ever adopted. In fact, I was surprised to learn that the state only seals the birth certificate at adoption, not relinquishment. So this sealing was definitely not done to protect birth parents. In other words, if a child was not adopted, the birth certificate was not sealed. Another concern of opponents is if records were open, abortions may increase by women who have unplanned pregnancy. This too is unfounded, as states which allow access to birth records to adult adoptees consistently have had lower abortion rates. Comparing abortion versus adoption in this scenario does not apply. Think about this. In reality, abortion is a decision not to be pregnant, while adoption is a decision not to be a parent. When a woman is considering an abortion, accessible adoption records are far from her mind. Prior to this assignment, I was unaware of this bill, its meaning for adoptees and birth parents. Then I wondered, why would it be opposed? Being an American with certain unalienable birthrights, I can only imagine the frustration that an adoptee experiences when attempting to obtain his birth certificate. Therefore, I have decided to be an active advocate of this bill. I would begin my support with educating the public regarding this bill, supporting a prominent state legislator, and partnering with New Jersey Care, a pro-adoption group. In conclusion, as an advocate for the adoptee, by supporting this bill, I would feel like I've done my part by empowering the individual, not the state, in making such an important decision. Thank you all for allowing me the opportunity to speak to you today.